We'll take you to our next guest now, and Stefan Romaniw is the chair of the Australian of Ukrainian Organisations and joins me now. Thank you for your time. Good afternoon to you, Stefan.
Good afternoon.
Stefan, you have loved ones on the ground. Can you give us a bit of insight into how the last week has been? We know Russian forces are now inside the city limits. What has this been like for them?
Look, it's been very alarmist. It's a situation of the unknown. My family's in the West, so at the moment they still haven't got the full impact, but I spoke to people in Kyiv a couple of hours ago. One of the biggest problems is now that they don't know what the Russians are going to do. There's obviously people are running for bunkers. People are staying in their homes. They're worried. And this is, again, Mr Putin. No respect for human life, no respect for sovereignty. He's a war criminal. He should be tried. And at the moment, I think Ukraine's in a situation where it's fighting. It's very resilient. Your last presenter said the same thing, that there are some posts that they're holding. Others, obviously, it's Kyiv. There is some real danger in that. But I think, again, from an international community's point of view, it's very important that we now act, and we act swiftly. As Mr Putin has acted. If I could just suggest a couple of things that maybe should happen. The sanctions aren't working. We need to hit Putin and his oligarchs very, very hard in terms of sanctions, such as the SWIFT transference of money system, such as the Magnitsky Act. But there's another component to this. There are many children who are suffering, getting injured, and no doubt will be dead. Why don't the international community say to the oligarchs who have children in London, in Paris, in Brussels, in other countries studying, you have 24 hours to pack up your things and go back to your parents, and when this is all over, you can come back. Obviously, the normal dialogue just does not work anymore. We really have to start hitting them where it hurts. And if he's got any compassion, which he doesn't, people have got to start understanding that you can't reason with Putin. At 1 minute he's attacking, next minute he's saying we should sit at the table. We've been saying from the Ukrainian World Congress point of view and our federation's point of view, you can't negotiate with him. In normal diplomacy, it's a win-win situation. With Putin, it's I win, you lose. So D-Day's coming, and I think that, look, it's not a good situation in Ukraine. People are very, very worried, but again, they're resilient, and the people I spoke to a couple of hours ago, they're ready to fight. They're ready to fight, and you may have seen the visuals of the woman in Sumy who walked out, and she confronted the soldiers, and she said in no uncertain terms, "What are you doing here? Get out of my country." And the other part of all this is, the disinformation about Luhansk and Donetsk, that somehow they're breakaways. They're not breakaways at all. Putin talks about 700,000 Russians who need to be protected. 1.5 million of those people in that region left as soon as he started to attack it 8 years ago. He gave out passports, Russian passports. So we're not dealing with a normal person here. And I personally, look, I'm a good friend of mine, I've just heard, has been killed fighting. Oh. So, it's hit home.
Oh, Stefan, I'm so sorry to hear that. Thank you for your insight. We know that only a third of Russian troops are partaking in this offensive. We know just how there is so much firepower and personnel left on the Russian side. On the ground, what are you hearing? What do the people want from the rest of the world? What can be done?
Look, everybody, Biden, EU, NATO, have all said we're not going to put boots on the ground. Okay, so if you're not going to put boots on the ground, what else are you going to do? You've got to start taking action that's going to hit these people and get them to start thinking. People, I've said this, I think, might be on your program before or previously. The Ukrainians who die will die as heroes. They'll be heroes for the rest of, for eternity. That's the way they'll be remembered. What about the Russian soldiers, the girls and boys who die, who come home in a body bag, and their parents say, "Why did you do this?" And all we can really call on is for the Russian population to start acting. In other words, get out on the streets, start demonstrating. You know, the revolution of dignity in 2013 started this way. The Russian community in Australia, a lot of those people do not support Putin. I've reached out to the community. I've told them that this is not about the Russian community. We sit and stand together because we have values. So it's time for his own people. And I believe, my personal belief is, you know, we've always said that out of bad, something good will come. And hopefully this is the end of Putin. It's the beginning of the end.
We are seeing people demonstrating in Russia as well. It's and we're seeing it here in Australia. We're seeing the communities come together. They want this to end. They don't want any more bloodshed. No, look, Sydney's demonstrating now. We had one in Canberra this morning. We had one in Brisbane last night, and in Adelaide, Melbourne, Treasury Gardens. Come stand with us 12:30 tomorrow. With lighting the candle of peace in our churches. And, you know, the only thing that's left for Putin now and the international community is to try him as a war criminal. He is a war criminal. He has created this. He's created death unnecessarily, and he cannot go unchallenged. The world has to understand that any further incursion into Ukraine obviously is going to change the international pattern. And we're just calling, we'd also like to say, I think, if you give me the opportunity, is to the Australian public. The Australian public has been absolutely fantastic. They've understood what this is all about. They've exposed Putin. They have stood with us, and the number of messages and what can we do? Well, we have a humanitarian program, www.ukrainecrisisappeal.org. You can contribute to that. And secondly, from the point of view of the rallies, come and join us.